Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Avila. I am a director on the Hispanic Bar Association here in Broward County. And today I have the distinct honor of being here with Judge Robert Diaz of the 17th Judicial Circuit, as he's being featured as our Judge of the Month for the month of September 2020. Hello, Judge. How are you?
Hi, Ms. Avila. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Judge. So first, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Judge Robert F. Diaz. I've been a county court judge since 1992. Before that, I was an assistant public defender for 8 years. I practiced solely criminal law back then. After I became a judge, I was in the civil division for about 6 months, and then they put me in criminal law, and I've been there ever since. After I became a judge, I realized that getting out in the community was important even before I was a judge. But once I became a judge, it became easier because people always want a judge to help. So I started putting myself out there in the community. I've taught at Nova Law School now for 31 years. I teach a street law class to teach law students about teaching, and they teach kids about the law. And after that, I just remained active in the community and have been involved in a lot of Hispanic events.
Awesome. And can you tell us where you're from, Judge?
I was born in Hialeah. My parents are both from Cuba, but I was born in Hialeah and lived there most of my life till I came up here to Fort Lauderdale to go to law school back in 1984. 81,
Awesome.
actually, 81. I graduated in 84.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And you said you were appointed in 1992, right?
Yes.
And what kind of cases do you handle at the 17th Judicial Circuit?
I handle criminal misdemeanor cases involving battery or driving under the influence. I also handle resisting without violence, driving while license suspended, which is a lot of our cases, petty thefts, possession of marijuana cases. Anything that involves a jail sentence, a maximum being 364 days in jail.
Perfect. And can you tell us a little bit about how your docket and your courtroom has been affected during this pandemic?
When we first shut down in March, nobody was able to go virtual right away. So we had like a little 3 or 4 week lag there in March. And then we started up in May. I started doing one docket a week, and I would put cases on there. Everybody appeared by Zoom, both defendants and attorneys. And it was a little bit unusual to get started. Everybody had to get used to it a little bit. We've progressed a lot now, so I have dockets every day. I've had dockets every day for the last 2 months. And I found that it's a good way to communicate. It makes it easier for lawyers and defendants to appear. However, I have found if you're on Zoom all day, you do get that new thing they call Zoom fatigue. And it does make you a little bit more tired than if you were doing it live. But I did a little research on it. I found out why. And that's because our brains are still trying to process everything like we normally do and just looking at the little work.
Right. And do you think going forward in a, let's say, post-COVID world, that the courts are going to continue to offer Zoom for litigants?
I think in the civil matters they will, and I think we'll have a limited use of it in criminal. I don't think it's going to go all that way. Obviously, we have to have jury trials where people need to show up, jurors need to be there. But I also think that it's much better to have people live. I still am kind of old school about that because I like to get a feel for people and see how things work, and they can get a feel for me. And I think there'll be limited purposes to save lawyers from driving to 3 different counties, but I think most of the time it'll go back to the way it was, I hope.
Okay. And that does make a lot of sense, especially in the criminal divisions. So what is your favorite part of being a judge?
Well, I like to help people, and I found that being a judge, you have a lot of opportunities to help people, both as a judge and on the outside when you're in your regular professional life and your personal life. I found that getting involved in the community has let me get to know a lot of law students. It's let me get to know a lot of people in professional positions. I like putting people together when I know somebody who has a certain talent, and then I know somebody else who's looking for that talent. I like to put them together and they'll let them see what happens. So I kind of like to put people together, and I think that helps them a lot. And I've had some very good successes with that. And then there's times where I go through dry spots where it doesn't really work out that well. But I like being able to help people, and I like being able to let people come into a courtroom and know that they're going to be heard, and that I'm going to do my best to make sure that they understand everything and to make sure that everybody gets a fair resolution.
And I would like to talk a little bit more about your community involvement. So you mentioned you've taught at Nova for 31 years. How else do you get involved with the law students?
Well, with the law students, I am the liaison for the last 10 years for the judicial internship program in the summer. So the Nova students, there's like usually 50 of them. They come and they do internships for judges, and I'm the liaison. So what I do is I get them all together, and I have a meeting every other week while they're there, and I bring in a practitioner from different things, like a civil lawyer, I bring in a criminal lawyer, I bring in an immigration lawyer, I bring in a family law lawyer. They tell them about their life and how it is to be that kind of lawyer. And then what I do during the regular days are judges let me know when they're having a very interesting hearing or some kind of trial, and I will send out an email to the 50 interns, and then they can all go watch and get a good experience while they're there in the summertime. Besides that, I do I created Lawyers for Literacy probably about 7 years ago, and that's the Broward Young Lawyers, and we go out once a month to read to first graders and kindergartners. And every time the lawyers do it, they say to me, "Oh, I don't want to go to work. I just want to do this the rest of the day," because the kids are really great. And I am a reading pal. I've been a reading pal for 5 years now. I go once a week to teach a young student how to read, and I've been doing that for 5 years. I try to stay involved with the Hispanic bar. We've done lots of things together. I try to help out the students at the law school. I'm on the board of governors there also. So I try to make sure that everybody gets a chance to do what they want to do, and I try to make up those connections and make sure that they get a chance to do it. And
That's
I enjoy it.
amazing, Judge. That's amazing. And thank you so much for all of that you do for the law students and the Hispanic community as well. I also want to highlight one of your other events that you do for the Hispanic law students, which is your luncheon that you do every year.
Yes, we're in our 21st year, I think, of doing that. And we bring the law students, and sometimes we invite from Nova, but we also bring the law students from other law schools, Hispanic law students. And I bring a bunch of lawyers, Hispanic lawyers, judges, and attorneys. And then the students come and they get to tell them about themselves. They all get together. We eat some good food. We have good talk. And then after that's over, sometimes they're able to speak, and some of them are able to get a job or an internship with one of the lawyers. And I call that Hispanics aren't looking for a handout. They're always looking for a hand up. So I always say that that's the way to hand up somebody, is to help them get started and get moving. We've had a lot of success with that. We've had a lot of lawyers find an intern there, and they work together and become lawyers. Some of them become partners after. So it works out really well.
That's amazing. And I've been to the luncheon once, and I loved hearing from the law students and what their path had been as Hispanic folks getting into the legal profession. So that was amazing and
Very
very
enlightening.
profound.
Very enlightening every time.
Absolutely. And so going back to the part about being Hispanic and everything, how has your culture and the fact of being a Hispanic lawyer in Florida kind of guided your career? How has it affected your career?
Well, it's guided me in that when I was in the public defender's office at the time, there were only 2 Hispanic lawyers. So they would assign myself and another gentleman named Jose Reyes all the felony cases for all the people who did not speak English and only spoke Spanish. So Jose and I were always running to different courtrooms, and we're having to get interpreters.
Mm-hmm.
show up at the same time. And a lot of times back then, when I first started, we're talking back in 1984, they didn't have an
Mm-hmm.
interpreter in every courtroom. So a lot of times we had to interpret for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing that sometimes the judges thought that we could just speak as fast as they could in Spanish and make sure our client understood it.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't really happen. So a lot of times I'd have to say, can you just slow down a little bit, Judge, please? I want to make sure they understand everything. And that has shaped me because I realized they were standing there not knowing anything that was going on, and they had to rely on me to give them the correct information, not only
Mm-hmm.
as their lawyer, but as their interpreter. Once we got more interpreters, it was a little bit different, but still, I knew that that person was depending on me and their life was in my hands. And I took that very
Mm-hmm.
seriously. So that shaped me that when I became a judge, I'm always, when I have somebody who's having the proceedings translated for them, whether it be Spanish, Portuguese, or French, or Creole, that you have to go slow and everybody has to talk slow because you have to make sure that those people understand everything that's said the same way as if somebody who understood English was hearing it.
Right, right.
It's made me very aware that in the Hispanic culture, somebody in a black robe sitting higher has a lot of power
Mm-hmm.
because they come from a country where sometimes they were totalitarian countries and they were scared of
Mm-hmm.
people in power. And I just try to make sure that they feel comfortable when they come in front of me that that's not the way it is, that I'm going to explain things to them and help them.
That's amazing, Judge, and we do truly appreciate that. So we're almost out of time, so I'm going to ask you one last fun question. Can you
Sure.
tell me a little bit about what your favorite part of your culture and of being Hispanic here in Florida is?
Well, I always find that Hispanic food is very good and Hispanic music is very good, and that Hispanic people are great, and they're all family oriented, and they all like to have fun. So even the theme of my luncheon really is get a little Hispanic food in there, get Hispanic people, and everybody's going to have a good time. And what I always find is I find myself standing at the back of the room and just looking at everybody in the courtroom, and they're all having different conversations. They're all laughing. They're all smiling, and they've all been fed very well. That's all you need to make people happy in our culture, I think. So
That's
that's what I
very
like.
true.
Yes.
That's very true. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we close it off?
Uh, I do, yeah, just a little bit. I do. I forgot one thing that I do. I do a bar mentorship where
Mm-hmm.
I take about between 8 and 10 students who are studying for the bar,
Mm.
and I have a meeting with people who I've helped pass the bar before who give them some tips, and then I call them once a week and ask them how they're doing, and I keep track of them. And whenever they pass, they always said, I can't thank you enough for calling me. You always called me at the right time. And I've realized I'm not that good, but that anytime somebody's studying for the bar, anytime they get a chance to
Mm-hmm.
talk to somebody, it's good. And we're facing a very big hurdle this time with the
Yes.
pandemic, and the students are very much struggling to get through. So I'm trying to provide a voice for them and listen to them. I don't actually speak out for them because I can't, but I do
Right.
listen to them and I listen to what they're going through, and I think they're going to be okay. So I think it's all going to work out.
I hope so too. And that's amazing. You know, like you said, giving each other a hand up in the profession. So that's really, really great. I love that program. I did not know you did that, so I'm glad that you shared that with us.
I'm there. I'm
Um,
there. Send anybody you want. Send anybody you want. I'm glad to have them.
for sure. And we'll make sure to let our membership know. And we do have a law student membership as well. So we will
All right.
share that so that they can reach out to you for that. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time, Judge. We so appreciate you being here. And so everybody look out for Judge Diaz's luncheon and all of, well, I don't know how we're going to do
I
that this
hope it's
year.
not going to be virtual. I
I
hope.
hope not.
It wasn't
But
last
we'll,
year. It was in
right.
March, but hopefully it won't. And I thank you for the honor of being on here and you honoring me this way. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Judge. Take care and have a good
Thank
day and
you.
stay safe.
You
Thank
too.
you.